Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream. I decided, because we're having so much fun playing Lone Wolf, that I was going to get into a costume, or as much of a costume as I could. Hoods are not very practical when it comes to reading books. That's all I can say. Anyway, it's lovely to have you all here with me this evening. And I've got some interesting news for next week's live show. We've got another giveaway courtesy of the creators of the Lone Wolf series. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So it would have been today, but I missed the postman. And so he didn't leave it on the doorstep, because it might be valuable loot. Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, yes, indeed. Right. So, yes. Why not wear a green cloak? Green's a good colour, and it's the colour of the kite. Now, you may also have noticed the layout's changed quite a bit. That is thanks to a friend of ours, Andrew, who hails from New Zealand. And Andrew put together this Lone Wolf amazing piece of software. The whole thing is self-contained. And said, you know what? I'm going to share it. So if you head on over to our website, www.greatgamemaster.com, and you go into the bag of holding, free stuff, I think it is. In the bag of holding, you'll see a folder called Lone Wolf. And in that is a zip file. Now, that zip file contains the software that you need in order to operate this thing. And it is very shiny, folks. It is very, very, very shiny. So thanks to Andrew for that. There's also a little piece of malware in there, which will get your credit card details and send them through to me. But you don't have to worry about that. That's nothing to be bothered by. Okay, we are on book 3, The Caverns of Kalte. What a wonderful, wonderful name. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, you may also have noticed, the more eagle-eyed of you, that there is a map at the bottom. The map is courtesy of Dungeon Fog and Project Deos. They put together this map and, right. It is I. See? They put together this beautiful map for us, and this will track Lone Wolf wherever he might be as we move around the Kalte Sea and Kalte, which is this big frozen place. And there's a lot of exciting things to cast our gaze at. I only hope that you can actually see the map. Now, it's an interesting thing. Joe Dever, the author of the book, must have been plundering languages when he was trying to create this part of the map, because Kalte Sea very badly translates into Frozen Sea in German, I've been reliably told. And the primary stronghold, the ice fortress of Ikaya, well, just happens to be a Zulu word for home. If you are going to your Ikaya or your Kaya, that means you are going home. Anyway, so that's where we are. Now, the other important thing is that we get to level up, which means you get to vote on that. So, as we start our journey, I have tried to read these rules to make sure that I don't make the same mistake as last time. And so what that means is we get to choose a bonus Kai discipline. We don't have many left. We've got camouflage. So here are the options that we have left, and you're going to type into chat what you like. All right? Hunting. This skill enables a Kai Lord to never starve. He will always be able to find food or hunt for food, except in areas of wasteland and desert. Now, we are heading to an Arctic region, so think about that. So hunting allows us to successfully conduct hunting, and the skill is very useful, for it also enables a Kai Lord to move with great speed and dexterity. So that's hunting. We've got Sixth Sense. We have tracking. We have healing. We don't have weapon skill. Weapon skill would allow us to choose, or as a matter of fact, to randomly roll a weapon that we would have proficiency in. We would be weapon skilled in, and that would give us +2 to our weapon skill, which is currently a very, very powerful, I think, 27. So I think we're pretty good on that. To be absolutely honest with you, 27. That seems awfully high. That is what came across from the previous character sheet, I think. But there you go. Was it 27? I think it was 17, to be honest with you. I think it was originally 17. And Kai, the mind thing, brought us up to 19. Oh, the magic sword. The magic sword. Yes, yes, yes. The Summer Sword. The Summer Sword. That's right. It's +8 because we have the Summer Sword. So there you are. All right, so weapon skill. I don't think weapon skill is going to do very much for us. We've got Mind Shield. We don't have... we've got Mind Blast. Animal Kinship. Animal Kinship. This skill enables the Kai Lord to communicate with some animals and to be able to guess the intentions of others. Or Mind Over Matter. This allows you to move small objects with the powers of concentration. So we've got... This is for you to vote on. Mind Over Matter, Animal Kinship, or hunting, basically. So it's up to you. It's up to you. So there we go. Right. Hunting, Mind Over Matter, or Animal Kinship. Let us know in the comments, if you please. And whilst you're doing that, I will read ahead, and we get to add some gold coins. Remember the disaster of the gold coins. So we get to roll a random number. So reset combat and roll a random number. We get an 8. So we get to 8. We get to 8. We get to add 8 to the number of crowns we have, bringing our total up to 35. Right, let's have a look. So, Mind Over Matter, we've got hunting. I've got 3 hunting, 4 hunting. Mind Over Matter, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 for Mind Over Matter. Mind Over Matter it is. That's what we add. Mind Over Matter. Now, I have not read this book for years. I mean, I read it when I first got it in 1992. And that was it. We now get to choose. Before you set sail, you are given a choice of the following items. But remember, you may only carry 2 weapons. You may take 2 of the following. I'm not going to read out weapons because we already have 2 weapons. The Magic Spear and the Summer Sword. All right. So, a padded leather waistcoat, which would give you 2 endurance points. Padded leather waistcoat. So an additional 2 endurance points. That could be useful. A potion of Lumspur, which would restore 4 endurance points after combat, but there's only 1 use in it. A special meal, which counts as a meal. And that's it. So basically, padded leather, potion of Lumspur, and a meal. What do we want? Padded leather, potion of Lumspur, or a meal. We can choose 2 of those. Literally, it's 2 endurance points, 4 endurance points, or 3 endurance points. I think the padded leather makes absolute sense. So let's put the padded leather on. And then it's really just a case of we heal with our healing every chapter that we don't have combat. So the padded leather, I think, is a great idea. That gives us 2. 1, 2. Is that right? 24. So that goes to 24. All right. But what else is it? The meal or the potion? The meal. I think everyone's going for meal. Yeah. Meal. Perfect. Makes my life easy. We'll put the 1 meal in there. Okay. And with that, we are ready to begin. Now, if you have joined the stream for the first time, I will give you a summation, or at least the book will give you a summation of just what has transpired. As soon as I can turn to the page. Here we go. In the northern land of Summerland, it has been the custom for many centuries to send the children of the warrior lords to the monastery of Kai, There they were taught the skills and disciplines of their noble forefathers. You are Lone Wolf, and you are now the last of the warrior lords of Summerland. 1 year ago, the ancient enemy of your people, the Dark Lords of Helgadad, suddenly invaded Summerland and completely devastated the Kai Monastery. All of the Kai warriors were in attendance for the Feast of Faman, and all, except for you, were massacred. You fought your way to Holmgard, the capital of your country, where the king sent you upon a desperate quest for help. Your mission was fraught with great danger, for Summerland had been betrayed by one of its own magicians, Vonatar the traitor. His agents sought to kill you at every opportunity, but your skill and strength defeated their evil aims. You returned to Holmgard at the head of a great fleet, the allies of Duranor, and destroyed the dark army that besieged your capital. Much of Summerland was ruined by the war. The rich farmlands were laid waste, and many towns were razed to the ground. But the Summerlanding are a tough people, and were undaunted by the enormous task that lay ahead. They set about the rebuilding of the war-torn Summerland with such determination that now, 1 year later, few of the scars of war remain visible. For the crucial part that you played in the victory, the king has bestowed upon you the rank and title of Feyrl of Summerland, a rare honor for one so young. The ruins of the Kai Monastery and much of the surrounding lands are now Freyulund, under your protection. Work to rebuild the monastery was about to commence when disturbing news from the north prompted the king to summon you to the capital. Many merchants returning from the summer trading expeditions to Kalte told of the fall of the Brumalmark, the leader of the ice barbarians. The description of the hunchbacked magician who has succeeded the fierce Brumalmark fits only one man, Vonatar the traitor. After the defeat of the Dark Lords, Vonatar escaped to the frozen wastes of Kalte. He made his way to the ice fortress of Ikaia, where, through deception, he tricked the cruel Brumalmark into adopting him as his magician. It was a mistake that was to cost the Brumalmark, the barbarian leader, his fortress and his life. The news that Vonatar still lives spreads like wildfire throughout Summerland. Thousands of Summerlandings surround the capital and demand that Vonatar be made to pay for his treachery. So great is the outcry that the king is obliged to promise that the evil traitor will be brought back to Holmgard and made to stand trial for his crimes. For you, Lone Wolf, the king's promise is the start of a quest that will pit you against a hated foe deep within the hostile caverns of Kalte. All right, so that is where we stand, and here we go. Right. I hope you are all ready. When I post up a poll in chat, I will wait for at least half of chat to cast their votes before moving forward. So there you are. There you are. Even before you accepted the task of bringing Vonatar to justice, preparations were being made for your voyage to Kalte. The captain of the Summerlanding warship, Cardonal, having returned from a long Kalte patrol, was ordered to wait for your arrival at Anskaven. During the night, food, ice... What? Okay. During the night, food, ice equipment, and canoe dog teams were taken on board. The mission was highly secret. Only senior members of the crew were told the true nature of the voyage that lay ahead. The plan is to set you ashore at Hale Bluff. Hale Bluff. So that's, if you can see on the map, the plan is to put us here at Hale Bluff. That's the plan, anyway. The ship will then drop anchor and await our return. An elite team of trusted guides will lead you from the bluff to Ikaia. Once inside the ice fortress, you are to hunt down and capture Vonatar, and then return with your guides to the ship. Your mission must be accomplished within 30 days at most, for winter is closing in and no ship can withstand the grip of the Kalte pack ice. If you do not return in time, the captain will be forced to sail without you. For 6 days, the Cardinal sails across the stormy Kalte Sea without running into a storm. But every day the temperature steadily drops until a layer of ice covers the decks. On the morning of the 7th day, the snow-capped island of Tola is sighted on the horizon. There we are. So it's on the horizon, so I will move us there. Soon after, a light wind rises from the west. At first there appears to be little danger, but within half an hour a furious blizzard is blowing, and all sight of land quickly vanishes in the scudding drift. All day the furious gale rages. Tremendous winds slice the tops of the huge grey waves, and water crashes over the decks, masts, and rigging of the ship, freezing almost immediately into solid ice. The sides of the ship become several feet thick with seawater. It is not until early evening when the weather clears, and although the wind still blows strongly, the force of the gale is spent. You are soon to discover that the gale has blown the ship nearly 30 miles off course along the lip of the Lejuk ice shelf. Somewhere there, I guess. You know that to return to Hell Bluff would waste a precious day, so you decide to land on the ice shelf and start your mission from there. As the last of the Kano dogs are carried ashore, your guide tells you of 2 possible routes to Ikaya from here. The first route involves a 130-mile trek to Cloudmaker Mountain. And then, following the difficult terrain of the Viad Glacier, a further 100 miles must be covered before you arrive at the ice fortress. The alternate route involves a longer journey of nearly 180 miles to the Horod Basin, followed by a trek of 100 miles through Storm Giant Pass to Ikaya. Even if the weather and your luck hold good, either route will involve 10 days of hard trekking before you reach your goal. You should consult the map of Kalte at the front of this book before making your decision. Or alternatively, consult the map that Dungeon Fog very kindly supplied us with. So I will just zoom in here on our map, so hopefully you can all see our options. We could either cross the ice shelf, go past Cloudmaker Mountain, and then up the Viad Glacier into Ikaya. Route number 1. The alternative would be to cross the ice shelf, go through the Hrod Basin, through Storm Giant Pass, and into Ikaya. Neither one of them sounds particularly nice, although I must say the glacier seems to be a more direct route, and Storm Giant Pass probably got its name for a reason. Nonetheless, this is an interesting journey that we shall have to choose, for we find ourselves on the ice pack, and I will bring up the poll shortly. So, if we wish to attempt the glacial route, it's 160. If we wish to go through the Storm Giant Pass, it's 273. So, what is it to be? There are 44 of you. That means we need 22 votes before we can decide. And it also means that 30 of you haven't hit that like button yet. But that's okay. If you don't like what I'm doing, don't hit the button. That's how it works. Democracy, or punishment, I don't know what you'd call it. Well, I don't know. Oh, sorry, this is Kai voice. It's cold, I know that much. The glacier seems more direct, but at the same time, Storm Giant Pass, well, I've never seen a giant before. Oh boy, there's always a first time for everything, isn't there? The votes have been cast. And here we go. We're going the glacial route. And I see we've got some great folks in chat this evening. Some people helping me with a book. Our amazing editor, Jay Abyssal, is in chat as well. Jay, nice to have you in chat. Puts all of the YouTube videos together. So if you like the way that the videos are being edited, there's your chance. Now, the glacial path. Your transport to Achaia consists of 2 sledges, each drawn by a team of 6 canoe dogs. This sturdy breed are native to Kalte and make ideal sledge dogs. Their thick tawny coats and powerful chests, as well as their vigor and enthusiasm even in the coldest climates, makes them well suited to the work ahead. On board each sledge is enough food and equipment for the mission. Your 3 guides, Irian, Ferro, and Dice, are all expert trappers. They are skilled at survival in the icy desert and know of the many unseen dangers. Once the dogs are harnessed, you and Dice climb aboard your sledge and signal to the others to lead the way. Mush! Mush! As you stare across the frozen expanse of the Lejuk ice shelf, you can see a white glare on the distant horizon. This is the Viad glacial wall, the point where the flow of ice meets the frozen sea. Through the crisp, clear air of Kalte, it looks no more than 6 miles away at most, but in reality, it is nearer 60 miles away. You make good progress on the first day, and as darkness approaches, you decide to set up camp for the night. You halt inside a circle of ice pillars that have been forced upwards by the constantly moving ice shelf. The sledges are drawn together, and the tent is erected beside them. Once the canvas is secured and the canoe dogs have been settled for the night, you begin to prepare your evening meal. Suddenly, a terrifying roar is heard outside the tent. "By the gods!" cries Irian. "A Baknar!" Baknar are large carnivorous creatures that dwell near the Kalte coastline. Their usual prey are gallings, or the small ostrils that live at the sea's edge. But this Baknar has been attracted by the scent of the dogs. It is about to attack and eat several of your sledge dogs. If you wish to leave the tent and attack the Baknar, we will go there. If we have the discipline of hunting, we can do that. And if we have the discipline of animal kinship, we can do that. We do not have animal kinship. We do not have hunting. So our only choice is to attack the Baknar. 78. We have an illustration. Preparing yourself, you pull back the flap of the tent and quickly leave. The wind has become so much stronger, and it whips the fine snow into small eddies, obscuring your vision. A shadow to your right betrays the Baknar as it lopes towards you. There is no time to evade its attack, and you must fight the creature to the death. Ah! The Baknar has a combat skill of 19. So, opponent's skill, 19. Opponent's endurance, 30. I don't want to do this, but I must. Swinging the somersword, we swipe at this creature. Huzzah! The enemy loses 10, we lose 2. Ah! We will attack you again! Huzzah! The enemy loses 12, we lose 1. You are no match! Back up now, beast! Ah! The creature is dead, but we have taken some wounds. 245. Again, big thank you to Andrew for freeing up this program for all of us to use. As the beast shrieks a ghastly death cry, the horrible stench of its body fills your nostrils. Even the Kanu dogs wrinkle their noses in disgust and shy away from the evil smell. When Irenian appears at your side with a skinning knife, you wince at the thought of skinning this dreadful creature. You watch with distaste as he cuts open the beast from throat to belly and peels back the thick white fur. You cannot believe your eyes when he scoops out handfuls of thick oil from inside the skin and smears it all over his face and body. "Baknar oil," he shouts enthusiastically, "keeps you dry and warm. Better than fur for keeping out the cold ice." He offers you a handful of vile oil. If you wish to accept his offer, go there. If the thought of smelling like a vat of rancid cheese does not appeal to you, 172. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right, so do we accept the oil and smell like rancid cheese? Or do we refuse? I'm not sure. It's, I mean, this cloak is pretty warm. Oh, chat, oh, wonderful chat. Oh, my conscience is telling me to put the oil. It puts the lotion on its skin. But why does it have to smell like rancid cheese? I mean, you. Well, the votes are in. 96% say we put the oil on the skin. 91. You hold your breath as you wipe handfuls of the slimy grease inside your jacket. As the oil penetrates your skin, you feel a warm glow, as if you were near an open fire. The more grease you apply, the warmer you become. Oh my. You also notice that the terrible smell is gradually fading away. Once it's in your skin and you can't smell a thing, says Irian, calling the others to take some Baknar oil. This oil is excellent insulation against the freezing temperatures of Kalte and may well help you in the near future. As you return to your tent, only the Kanu dogs seem to object to the smell. They whine and bury their noses in the snow as you walk past. I'm sorry, okay? Feels really good though. The following morning, you awake at dawn to the welcome sight of Fëanor preparing a hot breakfast. He passes you a steaming bowl and you gratefully eat its contents. Then you begin loading the equipment onto the sledges for today's journey. It is a beautiful morning. The wind has dropped and the air is fresh and clear. The Kanu dogs are strong and eager to be off, and for most of the day, the ice is smooth and the running easy. By nightfall, you have reached Siam Island. Oh, well, that's on our map. A pinnacle of granite rising through the ice shelf to a height of 400 feet. You make camp to the leeward side of the island in order to avoid the worst of the night winds. So we are now here. Pick a random number. All right. So reset combat, random number 7. 331. The following day, the weather becomes bitterly cold. Wind from the north brings a hail of ice that stings your face. Your lips soon split and bleed. By midday, you are engulfed in a blizzard that makes progress slow and tiring. The howling wind forces you to dismount from your sledge and push it. You feel utterly exhausted. Your hands and toes are numb with the cold. The sweat from your exertion freezes to your skin, lining your boots and mittens with a layer of ice. By the time you reach the glacier's edge, it is nearly nightfall. You are all so exhausted that you barely have enough energy to pitch your tent and eat a meal. Disaster has all but overtaken you. You have frostbite in your toes, fingers, and nose. And unless you have the Kai discipline of healing, you lose 4 endurance points. Oh, well, that Bacnar oil lasted a long time, didn't it? But that's okay. That's okay. We have healing. But I will have a sip of my coffee. The greatest healing there could ever be. Pick a random number. 3. 62. As the light gradually fades, a blizzard blows across the open ice shelf and batters relentlessly against the tent. The flapping canvas and the pain in your fingers and toes are beginning to wear on your nerves. You wish you had never set foot on this icy hell. Then, in the middle of the night, the wind rips away the edge of the canvas, and the full force of the gale scatters your equipment and provisions. You are forced to spend the rest of the night on your elbows, clinging with frozen fingers to the edge of the tent. Your sleeping furs fill with half-frozen slush, and by the dawn your clothes are stiff with ice. You lose 3 endurance points. Ow! Oh! 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 Hell! So we were up to 23, thanks to Threadbare Inc. Thank you for keeping track of that. We're on 167. The gale gradually drops, the air clears, and the Viad Glacier is revealed in all its splendor. The even surface of ice crystals look like a carpet of snow, glistening with gems of every hue, yellow, violet, blue, green, orange, and crimson. Yet the crystals are of such brilliance that they would put any jewel in the shade. The ice wall rises over 800 feet, and for the main part it is a smooth but steep climb. Although the weather is fine, it takes the best part of the day to climb the glacier's edge. All of the equipment has to be unloaded and taken to the top of the glacier, where it is repacked onto the sledges. The Kano dogs do hardly anything but fight, and your food is so shaken up in the climb that a gruesome mush is all that remains of it. By the end you are exhausted. With daylight fading fast, you must decide where to pitch camp in. You decide to pitch camp in the shelter of a natural ice bowl and settle down to a much-deserved night's rest. Oh, oh, oh. How are we going to get Vonatar down this blasted place? That's what I want to know. How are we going to get him down? Random number. 7. 300. For 3 days and nights you trek northwards across the bleak and inhospitable glacier. Irian and Fëanor have both suffered from severe snow blindness, and the relentless north wind seems to sap everyone's strength. On the morning of the 4th day on the glacier, the wind finally drops. A bearing can now be taken to find your exact position. To everyone's dismay, Irian announces that you have veered a long way off course. You turn to face the ancient grey peaks of a mountain range looming up out of the northern snow. It is a bleak and forbidding sight. The Mayaviks, says Dice, disappointment written all over his bearded face. We've come too far east. The Mayaviks? Now, where the hell are the Mayaviks? Oh, wow. We really have come too far. That puts us here, maybe? I think. The Mayavik Mountains now lie between you and Ikaya. To cross them will mean having to leave the sledges and Kano dogs, packing your equipment onto your backs and continuing on foot. There is an alternative, but it could lose you 2 precious days. You can retrace your route to the glacier and resume the march from there. Oh boy. I mean, we're running out of time, but trying to go over a mountain range? Is that really going to be faster than just going back? If you wish to abandon the dogs and the sledges and cross the Majavik Mountains on foot, turn to 12. If you decide to lose 2 days and trace your way back to the Viad Glacier, 238. Well, I don't know. I mean, the mountains are pretty impressive, but the glacier is equally so. And there's no guarantee that the glacier we won't get lost again. At least the mountains give us a bearing, right? So we need quite a lot more input. Yeah, climbing a frozen mountain, very bad. But there was that famous Kai general, Grey Elephant. He managed to cross a mountain, you know? So I'm not sure. I am sure. I've decided. We are going to go back to the glacier. 69% of us think it's a good idea. 238. The 2 days that follow are sheer hell. Ridges formed by deeply fissured ice mounds continuously bar your way, and you are forced to dismount and manhandle the sledges across them. Progress is slow. The Kanu dogs are nervous and take fright at the slightest instance, and the sledges frequently capsize and spill their loads. A haze of fine snow obscures your vision. On 2 occasions, Fëanor and Irene slip into crevasses and have to be pulled out by their safety ropes. Then your sledge meets with a similar mishap. Dice volunteers to be loaded into the crevasse at the end of a rope and unloads the damaged sled so that it is light enough to be hauled out. After 2 hours of backbreaking effort, the sledge is dragged from the void, but only for you to discover that it is damaged beyond repair and will have to be abandoned. The gale rises from the west and blows so fiercely that you have difficulty in standing. Within a few minutes, the conditions have become so bad that you are obliged to pitch a tent and wait for the gale to die down. Hour after hour, the wind buffets the tent relentlessly. As you slowly drift off to sleep, you can only dread what the next morning may bring. You are totally unaware of the amazing sight that awaits you. Interesting. I think we have almost healed up to full now. The gale dies away during the night, and dawn arrives calm and still. On the horizon to the far north, you can see Ikaya. Well, what a change in luck. What a change in luck. The huge crystal-towered stronghold is a wondrous sight, made all the more marvelous because it appears to hover upside down upon a large cloud. "A Kalte mirage," says Dice. "There's snow dust in the air here. The land is reflected in the clouds. That's Ikaya. But the real fortress is over the horizon. It can't be more than 40 miles away now." Dice grabs a spade and starts to dig out the Kanu dogs that have been buried by snow. You wake the others and eat a meal before setting off once more. It is midday when you reach the edge of a deep gorge. It is over 40 feet wide, and there appears to be no way of crossing it. You are forced to travel along the gorge to the east. Eventually, after 3 miles, you discover a narrow ice bridge. However, The center of the bridge is frighteningly... However, the center of the bridge is frighteningly thin and narrow, and it looks incapable of supporting the weight of a loaded sledge. You can now see the real Achaia upon the horizon. Oh. Well. We're making progress. We've got an interesting decision ahead of us. And we've got 3 choices. So, if you wish to risk bringing the sledge across the ice bridge, turn to 73. If you wish to unload the sledge and ferry the equipment across piece by piece, 162. If you decide to leave the sledge here and continue on foot, 223. 73, the sledge does look too heavy, so I don't think that's the wisest course of action. But it is the fastest, and we did lose 2 days. Alternatively, well, we could unload the sledge. That will take time, but at least we'll save the sledge, and that's 162. We could just leave the sledge here. I mean, we were going to leave it in the mountain range, so maybe... But we are going to be bringing Vonatar back, and that's going to be tricky. I don't know what to do. We have quite a few votes still to change our minds. At the moment, I'm leaning towards saying that we unload the sled and we take everything across piece by piece. That seems to be what everyone's going for. But there are some who feel that we should just abandon the sledge altogether. What would we do with the dogs? Without a sled, we don't really need the dogs. Well, I think I've reached my decision. We're going to ferry it across. 162. The sledge is unpacked and the equipment is ferried across piece by piece. Everything is going according to plan until the sledge itself is brought over the gorge. Dice is steering it, taking great pains to keep it in the center of the narrow bridge, when suddenly the 2 lead Kano dogs slip and fall into the gorge. They hang helplessly in their harnesses, howling and kicking at the air. Dice frantically pulls on the reins to try and prevent the others from falling as well, but his efforts are in vain. One by one, the other dogs are pulled from the bridge by the increasing weight of those below. "Jump, Dice, jump!" screams Irian as the last dog plummets into the void. Dice leaps clear just as the sledge topples into the gorge, but he lands on the narrowest section of ice and loses his footing. Help me, he cries, his fingers clawing at the slippery ice. If you wish to attempt to save Dice, turn to 19. If you feel there is no way you can save him, 253. We can use Mind Over Matter? I don't know. 19, we try and save Dice somehow. 257. We commit his body to the void. Poor dogs. Dice, grab this rope which I have in my pack. We've just unloaded it, so it should be easily accessible, right? Sorry, Dice. I guess it's the end of the road for you. Farewell. So long. I can't do that. Poor Dice. He's been so loyal. And he had all of those issues like frostbite and stuff. Well, the votes are in. Almost unanimous. We are going to try and save him. I got this. I'm a Kai master after all. Well in training. I guess. Uh-oh. That's not good. There's an illustration which I'm going to share with you in a little bit. You sprint along the ice bridge and dive for Dice's hand, but it is too late. Barely a second before you reach him, his grasp falters and he plummets backwards into the gaping void. A shiver runs down your spine as his scream fades into the darkness below. You are staring helplessly into the gorge when Irian begins to shout. There! Over there! I'm sure I saw something! You strain your eyes, hoping to see something, anything, but the gorge is as black as midnight. You turn to see Irian pointing not at the gorge, but towards the western horizon. Look over there, he says, indicating a ridge in the distance. 2 fur-clad warriors are standing on top of a large platform of ice. They are looking in your direction, alerted no doubt by Dice's dying scream. Ice barbarians, says Freynour, his voice shaking with fear. If they reach Ikaya before us, we're as good as dead. You are now 15 miles from the ice fortress, and with less than 3 hours of daylight remaining. If you wish to press on in the hope that you will outrun the barbarians, turn to 327. Alternatively, you could attack the barbarians. Well. So, press on in the hopes that we will outrun the barbarians. They know this land. They know exactly where to go. They know exactly what to do. We could attack them and prevent them from warning others, but they've done no evil to us. They were watching. Okay, sure, they didn't help. I mean, that would have been nice. But, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm torn. I'm 48-52, which is very, very close. I'm going to close the poll. 50-50, I can't close the poll. I need one more vote, please. I can't make this decision on my own. Do we attack or don't we attack? There's 2 barbarians. I mean, I'm fairly certain we can probably take them. I mean, maybe? But the poll has got to swing, and we've got our votes in. I am ending the poll on 30 votes. That's very good. Very close. We're going to try and outrun them. 327. We got this. We got this. We'll just have to press on hard. As you approach nearer to Akaya, the recent encounter with the ice barbarians plays on your mind. Will you be able to outrun them, or are they planning an ambush at this very moment? Both Irian and Freynour look very anxious, and little is said as you trek across the difficult terrain. But your worries distract your attention from a far more familiar danger. You are less than 8 miles from the fortress when the snow gives way beneath you and you plunge into a hidden crevasse. Ah! Oh, why? We are nearly 8 miles from the fortress. We are nearly there. Right, so pick a random number on the table. Roll a random number. An 8. 105. Oh, so close. You have fallen over 150 feet into a massive snowdrift. You are shaken and winded, but otherwise unharmed. It takes nearly half an hour to tunnel your way clear, and when you finally stagger out of the powdery snow, you are astounded by the sight that greets you. A huge underground cavern spreads into the distance. Stalactites of crystal hang from the icy ceiling, and the constant dripping of melting snow fills this ice world with an eerie musical sound. You are looking at an uncharted world that few Summerlanding have ever seen, for you have fallen into the caverns of Kalte. This chamber is a tiny part of a massive underground labyrinth built by the ancients, many ages before the Summerlanding or even the Dark Lords ever set foot on Magnamund. Its wide avenues, temple and halls once echoed with the sound of a race of creatures for whom the ice was a natural home. Malaa balls still hang from the roof, bathing the chamber with their eternal light. You shout towards the opening high above, but there is no reply. Irian and Fëanor have given you up for dead, and they are now trying to make their way back to the Cardinal. The sides of the cave are too steep and sheer. To climb up to the surface from here would be impossible. In the distance, to the north, you notice a rough-hewn tunnel. There is also a similar tunnel to the west. We have the Kai Sixth Sense, so we will use that, 64. You get an uneasy feeling that danger lurks along both tunnels. Although you sense that the northern tunnel is the more perilous of the two, you feel sure that it is the quickest route to Ikaia. Well, let's see. We've got a choice. We've got a choice. What are we going to do? The northern tunnel is more dangerous. The northern tunnel is more dangerous, but it does lead in the direction of Ikaia, and we know that we were only 8 miles distant. Alternatively, the west tunnel might be safer, and maybe that'll swing around and bring us back. I don't know. The northern tunnel is 235. The west tunnel is 275. North or west? We need a decision, and not a lot of folks are deciding at this moment. If you are just listening, that's excellent. If you can vote, now's the time to do it. I need 2 more votes, although this seems to be in the bag. Thank you for voting. 235. We're going north. 235. After a short walk, you arrive at a massive ice hall full of crystal stalagmites and stalactites. The floor is covered with animal tracks and bones, yet the vast hall seems empty and still. You notice that the northern wall is a completely smooth surface of granite blocks stretching upwards to the icy ceiling, over 100 feet above. You suddenly realize that you are staring at the foundation stones of Ikaia. You have reached the ice fortress. Partially obscured by a large mound of crystals, you can just make out a ramp leading up to a massive stone door in the fortress wall. Your discovery brings renewed hope. If you can gain entry to Ikaia and quickly capture Vonator, there is still time to reach your ship, the Cardinal, before the ice starts to freeze. Oh, well, this is luck, and we have an image. If we wish to cross the icy hall, 52, we cross the icy hall. Alternatively, we can stop and search the bone-littered floor on 115. We have made progress, but have we made enough progress? Are we far enough that we are confident that we are ahead of those barbarians? Or are we actually just going to waste time if we look through the bone pile? I'm not sure. We could just head straight through, but what if we miss something? What if some ancient left some artifact? Not a sword or a weapon, because the Somersword is the best, but what if it's some armor or a map of these places? Anything would help. I think you're right. I think we're going to search. And I think we should be on maximum now as well. Let's search 115. You discover that many of the bones scattered among the stalagmites are of human origin. Shattered skulls, skeletal hands, and rib cages lie half buried in the ice. You are about to abandon your search when a small box made of carved bone catches your eye. If you wish to open this box, turn to 218. If you would prefer to leave it, you can examine the fortress door by turning to 52. We are here. We are looking. I'm making an executive decision. 218. We're going to open the box. That's what we were looking for in the first place. The box contains a beautiful diamond. Its many facets gleam and sparkle, even in the dim half-light of the ice hall. In Sumerland, a jewel of this size and quality would be worth thousands of crowns. If you wish to keep the diamond, slip it into your pocket and mark it on your action sheet as a special item. We have a diamond. How nice. A diamond. You can now examine the fortress door by turning to 52. As you climb the slippery stone ramp, the sound of cracking ice makes you spin around. A large mound of crystals at the base of the ramp is beginning to move. The crystals are alive. You stare in disbelief as the mound is transformed into a writhing mass of crystal coils. The coils unwind, and the ice creature slithers towards you. If you wish to evade this creature and run towards the stone door, turn to 169. If you wish to fight it, turn to 265. Well, let's see. Do we run away, 169, or 265? We don't know how to open the door. We don't even know if the door can be opened. But maybe it can be, and then we avoid this fight. And maybe that's exactly what we want to do. Or maybe we fight it. Just straight up fight it. And that's on 265. Maybe running away is not the only solution. We don't know what this creature is, except that it seems to be made out of crystal. Perhaps it's some kind of ancient protection that the ancients created to protect the door. Or perhaps it protects whatever is coming out of the door from getting into the caverns. Oh, I don't know. Well, I do know. I know exactly what we're going to do. It's 265 for us. Here we go. There is a picture. The strange creature is a crystal frostworm, a scavenging beast now living on the remains of the unfortunate creatures who have entered the cavern. Its hard skin is almost transparent, and its internal organs can be seen pulsing inside. A large mouth opens in the crystalline head to reveal row upon row of jagged crystal teeth. Your back is pressed to the stone door, and there is no way to evade the monster. You must fight the creature to the death. It is immune to Mind Blast. All right, so this goes down by 2, and the opponent's combat skill is 15, and it has 30 endurance. I don't want to kill you, Snake, but I will. 8 to it, 3 to us. 11 to it, 2 to us. It is dead, but it bit us. That was unfortunate. You watch with a mixture of fascination and revulsion as each segment of the creature shatters and then slowly dissolves into the ice. Soon all that remains of the crystal frostworm are the undigested contents of its stomach. To your surprise, in the center of this mass of fetid flesh and bone, you can see the shank of a silver key. If you wish to take this key, turn to 280. If you would rather ignore it and look for a way to open the fortress door, turn to 344. Well, we have to take the key, right? Of course we have to take the key. 280. I'm not going to even do the vote for that. The key is coated with a corrosive digestive acid that burns through your mittens and attacks your fingers. Lose an endurance point. Ah! You drop the key and plunge your hand into the snow to ease the pain. If you still wish to keep the key, you can wipe it on the snow before placing it in your pocket. But remember to mark it on your action chart as a special item. Silver key. You must now search for a way of opening the fortress door. And that we will have to do next week when we return. We're on 344. And he types 2. 344. Folks, thank you very much for joining me this evening. This has been a lot of fun, Caverns of Kalte. We haven't died yet, touch wood. And we seem to have made pretty good progress. We got to Ikaya, which I think is brilliant. I think that's really good. We're meant to be on 20 hit points. Is that correct? All right, up to 20, and I will save again. So there we go. Another huge thank you to Andrew for sharing this Lone Wolf character sheet with us. It's really useful. You can grab that from www.greatgamemaster.com and go into the bag of holding, and you'll find it under free stuff. It's all there for you. And a big thank you to all of you for watching and for smashing that like button. We've got some good likes on today's show, and for making your votes and casting your votes and letting them all be heard. I really do appreciate that, and your interaction, of course. And until next week, I want to wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming.